All praises, honor, and glory be to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Raka'akwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well of Yasha Allah. Peace and blessings to the faithful elect of Yasha Allah. Shalom, Rabaraki, Aman, Bakhiyar, Yasha Allah. Which is to say that same um, greeting in the Hebrew. All right, I'm your brother Shariat Nawasai. This is the first episode, installment, etc. Lesson of the channel, Stewing for Yahweh Shai. But before I get going, I want to say that this lesson is only out to you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and so-called Native American Indians, because you are actually the people of God. You're the people of the Bible. You're the people of the book. Yes, you are the biblical Israelites, and this is why everybody hates you. Because you have been cursed. You are cursed. You know, and you're the people of the book. I want to go into this lesson is pretty much going to be titled, or this meal is going to be pretty much titled, God says the blacks are the real Jews. God says the blacks are the real Jews. Okay? Now, we're going to go into some scriptures. We're going to simply prove this and keep it to the point. All right? So God says the blacks are the real Jews. All right? So-called blacks are the real Jews. And this is spiritual because this is what will be identified as a black hand according to the judgment of the people of the earth today, right? And the name which is above this brother's hands is Jeremiah. And Jeremiah, he was a Jew, right? So we're gonna go into some quick scriptures really quick. You didn't know who you were, right? You weren't able to identify clearly who you were. But the Bible, which is truly a history book, right? It identifies everything. Everything can be filtered and discovered through the scriptures, right? And if it can't, it's because it's too high. It's too dense of a meat for consumption. So this will be a basic glass of milk right here. God says, which could be filling for some people, depending on where your appetite is at. All right. So God says the blacks are the real Jews. So really quick, we can go into where the brother was at, Jeremiah 14, and we'll start at verse 1. All right. It says the word of the Lord, and that name right there in all caps is Lord, and it tells you in some scholastic, more so of a scholastic type of Bible, due to the publishers that put together this format of Bible. It's pretty much under the same format as the King James, but it's known as the Red Bible, right? It tells you that when you see the name Lord in all caps, it's telling you that the name right there is Yahweh. That's the name of the Creator, right? And this is known amongst certain men of Israel, right? Of our nation, of your nation. So it was actually brought out by our elders, the elders and apostles, all right, of Great Millstone. But anyway, Jeremiah 14:1, it says the word of the Lord, the word of Yahweh that came to Jeremiah concerning the dearth. It says, Judah mourneth, right? So this is talking about the Jews, because when you go into that word, Judah is actually where Jew stems from. Okay? And in the Hebrew, pronounced
Strong's H 3063. Yehudah. Yehudah.
no, it's pronounced Yahwadah, like the Father's name, Yahweh, Yahwadah. So Judah is where you get the word Jew, right? And how you say Judah in the Hebrew is Yahwadah, okay? And it means praised. So this is something that this is the vibration that Judah carries. The tribe of Judah carries. They're praised. All right. And who's more praised than the so-called black man, right? Whether it be for his accolades and accomplishments, so-called black man and woman, right? But you get the woman with the man, so that's why you have mankind, the word mankind. But anyway, who's more praised than the so-called black man? You know, starting with on down, him. You know, no one. You have, you know, from their accolades, from your so-called accomplishments, your foolery, you know, your music, your gifts, right? Your tragedy, okay, your perspective. Certain movies like Snow on the Bluff, but so once again, God says the blacks are the real Jews. So Judah means praise. Now, it should actually tell you that's where you get the word Jew in here somewhere. See if it gives it to us. But either way, we're going to use the scriptures. And the Jews, it actually consist of Benjamin and Levi. Okay. But let's get to the scriptures. Jeremiah 14:2. Judah mourneth. So Judah mourneth, man. All right, let's get that word for mourneth. Mourneth. It means, the word right there is a ball. A ball. All right.
Strong's H56. Aval.
A ball. A ball. And it means to mourn, to lament, right? Bewail, lament, mourn. Let's see, walk with the head cast down. And that's actually how you are in the spirit, because this place continues to fail you, and you're made the stock of all, the butt of all jokes, and you don't know who you are, and you're oppressed. Even though you may try to play it off and walk with your head upright, this is how you actually appear in the spirit, right? And some of you actually physically show, you know, that lamentation, that a ball, that mournful mourning, right? Okay, now going back. So Jeremiah 14:2, Judah mourned. So Judah, the one, a tribe that's actually praised. For some reason they're mourning, right? Because you're cast off, you're cast in the ghettos. You're constantly targeted in the cities, in the news, in the publications, in the media, to be nothing when you actually built the place that you're dwelling in, you know, and you're made the butt of all jokes and industries that you're good at. You actually start and elevate it, you know, whether it be the music industry, whether it be in the army, whether it be you know, inventing things, right? We're the most of the inventions, you know, that you use today were made by the so-called blacks, so-called black men, so-called Negroes, you know, from a slew of different inventions that were either elevated or outright created by you, that's used in modern society, right, in the world today. And that's not accredited to you in this matter. So that causes you to mourn, and you don't know who you are. So Judah mourned, and the gates thereof language. The gates are the front man, right? Because you have a house, right? And a house, in meaning and understanding, it goes into. Let's get a quick scripture. Let's get let's see. You know what? Let's see what we got. House. Judah. Okay. Now when you go into that word house, right? House of Joseph, house of God, house of Judah. 2 Samuel 2:4. It says, and the men of Judah came, and there they anointed David king over the house of Judah. So what does the house of Judah mean? What does that word house mean? So I can prove my point really quick. About these gates. You gotta first understand why is it even using gates to talk about Judah? Because Judah is a house. Now what does house mean? You go into that word house. You say house in Hebrew, you would say bayat.
Strong's H 1004. Bayith.
Bayat. Okay? It means family, right? Family of descendants, right? Descendants as organized body, right? Let's keep going. There's that word steward again. Okay, but anyway, it's basically talking about your stock, your seed line. A house is a bloodline, right? But still, okay. Let's see if we can get something here. Yeah, here we go. Those sprung from any family, descendants. So when you're out of the house of Judah, you're a descendant of Judah. You're of that same exact seed line, that same bloodline. Those sprung from any family. You come from, see, right there, the race of David. So when it's talking about house, it's talking about your race, right? Now, this is just specified because obviously you overall you come from the house of Israel, but Israel had a son named Judah. So Judah, he just brought forth more Israelites directly from him. But in overall aspect, you're of the race of Israel. But Judah, those that descend from Judah, those would be from those people would be from, you would be from the house of Judah. You would be from the exact race of Judah, right? The tribe of Judah, the exact seed line of Judah, the bloodline of Judah. Okay, so that's all that means. Now, going back, so we can go back. Jeremiah 14:2. Judah mourned, right? And the gates thereof language. Now that we have an understanding of what house means, so house just means a family, those of the family, right? Of the descendants, right? Of the race of David, because David is from the house of Judah. That's why I said those of the race of David, right? They come from the same exact. David came from the man Judah as well. David will be a grandson of Judah, right? Who was a direct son, one of the first sons of the man Israel himself, right? Your great 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 grandfather, for you so-called blacks, right? Now, what is in front of a house? A gate, right? So it's analogies, right? Similitudes, analogies, etc., right? Parables, etc. That's what the scriptures do. What's in front of a house? So that house is talking about people, right? The people of Judah. What will be in front of a house? But they're compared to a house. So you imagine a house, a big, massive mansion, because you have a lot of descendants of the house of Judah, right? So it will be a very big house, if it was a house that you had to imagine, right? In front of that very big house, right, you will have what? You can even imagine some acres, right? Tons of acres, because the descendants of Judah are like the sand of the sea. You know, they help make up that sand in the scriptures, that the children of Israel will be of the sand of the sea, right? So it's a lot of Judites. So that's a very big house on a very big land. In front of that very big land, right, is cut off, because we're only dealing with Judah. So you have a gate in front of it. You see what I'm saying? Now, remember, that big house is just a bunch of Judites. In front of those Judites are a gate. Now, is that actually talking about a gate? No. It's talking about the front men, right? Those that are put in the front, on the front line of the house of Judah. So those will be your leaders. So it says, and the gates thereof languish. And the gates thereof languish. So you got the whole house mourning, but not only the house of Judah, right? Because when it says Judah, it's not talking about the man himself. It's talking about the whole house, right? Everybody that came from Judah. Their mourning, which are you so-called blacks, and we're proving. Their mourning and the gates thereof are languishing. Are those talking about actual gates? No, because that's not. It wasn't talking about an actual house, right? So that house are men, and those gates are men. Those that are put on the forefront of the house of Judah. They're mourning too, which will be leaders, the front men, right? That's saying the front man. Those put on the front line thereof language. Now, what does it say? They are black unto the ground. You see that? So, basically in comparison to the ground, they are black. So the Bible says that the Judah, everybody of the house of Judah, right, including their leaders of the house of Judah, are black. That's what it says, man. And we know this to be talking about their actual skin color, because when you go into that word black, the word is Qadar.
Strong's H 6937.
Qadar. And it's actually talking about the skin. See that? Be dark, to darken, right? That's what it's actually talking about. It's not talking about your clothes. It's talking about the skin color. That's what we're going to get more scriptures to prove it real quick. See? To be of a dirty, blackish color. Burnt skin. As of sunburnt skin. So the Bible is outright telling you who you are. What happens when you so-called, and all of you so-called Israelites, but talking to you so-called blacks, what happens when you so-called blacks go into the sun? See that? Blackish color, as of sunburnt skin. Your skin gets darkened, to be darkened, and they're giving you references of Israelites in the scriptures who are black. Because black just goes into melon, which all the Israelites have. But that title that has been put on you, so-called those of the house of Judah, to just be just black people. Well, guess what? The Judah are said to be black people. See that? So God says the blacks are the real Jews, man. And that's that. So we know this wasn't talking about no actual gates because it's talking about skin color, right? Gates don't turn black in the sun. It's a parable. It's a metaphor for those of being simple to get it, man. They said so. Gates. That's talking about actual people from Judah. Understanding that's talking about the house, the descendants, and the gates as well. Because if you're talking about a house, that's why you can understand. You have to understand when it says Judah is talking about a house, and then you learn what house mean, and then you go on to understand, well, why does it say gates right there? You see that? That's how the Father gets you to understand it. It's just talking about leaders, and we know that to be true because when you look into that word black, they say they are black. So these people are black. When you go into that word black, it means Qadar, unto the ground, right? The ground is the earth, because that's how he made man, of the earth, man. So that's that. Let's get another. So that's spiritual. See, he was in Jeremiah 10. So-called black hand right here. Be of a blackish color, to darken. Burnt skin, dark skin. See that? So you so-called blacks are the real Jews, man. This is time for you to pick up, have this served to you, and for you to eat of this, right? Because this is what the Lord wants you to know. Yahweh Shai, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. He expects you to know this upon his return. This is one of the things he needs you to know, because guess what? He's so-called black man. Now, we're gonna run through some quick scriptures really quick. Song of Solomon 1. We're gonna start at verse 5. I'm gonna start at verse 1. The Song of Songs, which is Solomon's. Jump to 5. It says, I am black, but comely. O ye daughters of Jerusalem, who dwells in Jerusalem? The Jews. Jews dwelt in Jerusalem. Those of Judah, the house of Judah, the family and descendants of Judah. So I am black. Song of Solomon 1 and 5. I am black, but comely. O ye daughters of Jerusalem, as the tents of Kedar, as the curtains of Solomon. Look not upon me, because I am black. You know, and I really says because I black. So wherever you get an italicized word, it's actually going into inputs that the so-called white man put in here to make it so-called proper. That's how you know this is our book too. So it will actually read Song of Solomon 1 and 6. Look not upon me, because I black. You know, Jake don't pronounce and have a word for everything. So instead of saying you know what I am talking about, Jake said, you know what I'm talking about. So it's like that. It's the same exact spirit, man. The same exact people who speak these ways now wrote these scriptures, right? Look not upon me, because I am black, because the sun have looked upon me. So we know this is talking about his skin, because it's going back into the sun reference. Now, when you go into these words, black, let's see if we can get black. See that? The word right there is shakar. Shakar.
Strong's H, 7838. Shachor. Shachor.
So shakar.
And second entry, Shachor. Shachor.
Shachar. And it means black, right? Blackish color of the face. So you can't make this up. Black used of hair, right? So we got black hair, right? Some of us got, different shades, but from most, the point is he's black. Blackish color of the face. So you so-called black people are the real Jews, because what was Solomon? Solomon is the son of David, and it said that those of the house of Judah were to be of the race of David. See that? Because David came from Judah, and David is the father of Solomon. So Solomon will be of Judah. He's a Judite. So he will be today known as the so-called black man. And that's why this says this. See that? I am black but comely. So I'm dark. This is what he's saying. Because this is it's the conditions that you so-called black people, all you Israelites, are put in that pushes your melanin to increase and your skin to turn darker, right? But there's nothing wrong with it. It says becoming. The word for comely is nawa, right? And it means comely, beautiful. So I'm dark, but he said I'm beautiful. And then he said, "O ye daughters of Jerusalem, as the tents of Kedar." So the women of Jerusalem, were even dark, right? So-called black people. Once again, Kedar, that same word. Kedar, that same word. Black skin man.
Strong's H, 6938. Kedar.
Black skin man. So you can't make this up, man. See that? So I am black but comely, O ye daughters of Jerusalem, as the tents of Kedar. I'm a black skinned man, as it says. As the curtains of Solomon. Look not upon me because I am black, because the sun hath looked upon me. My mother's children were angry with me. They made me keeper of the vineyard. So he was out in the field working, and the sun, where the sun shines, very intensely, and he became dark, much darker. But my own vineyard have I not kept. All right, and we're gonna get one more scripture, because the scriptures say, by 2 or 3 witnesses, let every matter be established. Let's get one more proving that you so-called blacks, that God says so-called blacks are the real Jews. Deuteronomy 1:1. These be the words which Moses spake unto all Israel. So Israel, meaning the Israelites. Let's go into that, because we bring this out all the time. So let's go into it a little bit different. And when you go into that word, Israel, in the Hebrew is actually pronounced Yashar, or Yashar Allah. Yah being he, Shar being prince, Allah being power. So he prince power. He prince of the power. Yashar Allah. Right? Okay. And it's talking about, those of Israel, man. Israelites. the name of the descendants and the nation of the descendants of Jacob. So all you people that come from Jacob, this is who this is talking to. These be the words which Moses spake unto all Israel. So Israelites. So it's a bloodline thing. On this side, Jordan in the wilderness, in the plain, over against the Red Sea, between Paran and Tophel and Laban, Hazeroth, and Dazahab. So these be the words which Moses spake unto all Israel. Now, really quick, 28 and 68, to bring this thing home. It says, and the Lord, so and Yahweh, shall bring, this was what was said. So this is something that was said to the Israelites. And who comes of Jacob? Judah, the house of Judah, who would be known today as so-called who would be known today as so-called blacks, right? Judah being where you get the word Jew. So God says blacks are the real Jews. So this is something that was said to those of the house of Judah, to the real Jews, right? According to the Bible. Let's see what it says. Deuteronomy 6:28 and 68. And the Lord and Yahweh shall bring thee, to you of the house of Judah, you so-called Jews, in all of Israel, but obviously Judah is of Israel. So once again, and the Lord and Yahweh shall bring thee, you of the house of Judah, into Egypt, again with ships, right? And we know Egypt to be told from God, right? Who people call God, whose name is Yahweh, our Father Yahweh. He told us that in Exodus 20, he told us, according to Exodus 20 and 2, I am Yahweh thy power, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. So he told us that Egypt was the house of bondage. He said Egypt is the house of bondage. Now when you go into that word bondage, the word right there is ibad, and it means slave, servant, subjects, servants, right? So there you go, man. Manservant. You were subjected as a slave, a servant, who amongst the Hebrews was commonly a slave, man. So there you go, man. So that's Egypt refers to slavery, right? That's what he told us, not what we told him. So what he told you, those of the house of Judah, what he tell the so-called Jews, call the Jews according to the Bible, and the Lord and Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt. So slavery again, because this was said after he brought us out. Deuteronomy comes after Exodus. He told us that during the Exodus, that Egypt was the house of bondage, the house of slavery. So he told us this after that. He said, and Yahweh shall bring thee. He told this to Moses, and Moses told this to the Jews, those of the house of Judah, right? The race of David. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. So into slavery again. He gonna bring you back into slavery again. See? With ships. A ship. Who? The only people, you so-called blacks, then you go into slavery by ships. Then you get over here by ships. Then you come over to America by the so-called white man as a slave on ships, big cargo slave ships. Haven't you seen a dollar bill? Haven't you seen a $1 bill of America, the same place you was a slave? When you flip it over, you see a Egyptian pyramid, a pyramid of Egypt on the back of it. By the way, whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. So your homeland you was taken from, and you haven't seen it anymore again. And there ye shall be sold. Weren't you sold? Unto your enemies. So the people you were sold to are your enemies, man. So-called white people are your enemies. Unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. For bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. So no man shall redeem you. That means save you, right? Now, you go into that word. For bondman, it's a bod again. Slave. You're going to be sold as a slave. See that? Same word. Servant. Servant. That's that, man. It's not. And then the word for bond women is shapcha.
Strong's H 8198. Shivcha.
So shapcha, and it means maid servant, slave girl, maid servant, right? So there you go. That's what happened. That's what happened to you, right? That's belonging to a mistress of address, speaker, humility, right? What happens when you humble a woman? What was some of the so-called white men doing just cause? He was humbling. He have that. We have that in our history. Our women being humbled by the dogs of the earth, right? By those that brought you into slavery, right? So that's that, man. So Ibad and Shapka. So that's what you became. So this was said to happen. This same exact thing that happened to you was said to happen to those of the house of Judah. So that would mean you're of the house of Judah, man. All right. And to tie this thing home, let's get one last scripture. Let's get Revelation 5:5. It says, and one of the elders said, let me start at 4. Matter of fact, let me start at 3. And no man, Revelation 5:3, and no man in heaven, nor in earth, neither under the earth, was able to open the book. What book? This Bible. Neither to look thereon. So no one was able to go into it. In what way? What is it talking about? To understand it. What is it talking about? How to use it? And I wept much because no man was found worthy to open and to read the book, neither to look thereon. You had a time where you couldn't even read. You so-called black people, right? So-called Negroes, you know, so-called on down to you so-called, black people of the islands, because you helped make up the kingdom of Judah, which is the southern kingdom, the Jews. All right, but we're dealing specifically with Judah right now, because no man was found worthy. So, and I wept much. Then it say Judah mourned, because no man was found worthy to open and to read the book, neither to look thereon. I'm not saying that's what that's talking about, but that's that's by the Spirit. And one of the elders said unto me, weep not. Behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the root of David, had prevailed to open the book and to loose the 7 seals thereof. You see that? So, the Lion of the tribe of Judah is talking about some man who's known as he's known as a lion, man. That is who people call Jesus Christ. He came from the tribe of Judah. He's the lion. He brought the understanding to the earth 2,000 years ago to tell you who you were and what God expects from you and what he expects from you when he comes back, because all power has been given to him in heaven and earth, which is why you have this paid steward of Yahushua, because he set men up to make sure his house, right, as a whole, not just tribe, as his nation is in order, and everything that's left in his is left regarding his house his estate, right? And that starts with you knowing who you are. You sheep knowing who you are. Coming back into your power and knowing who you are. He has opened the book. That's why we're able to go into this and break this down like this. Because he received the understanding, he passed it down. So we know this is truly the Spirit dealing with us, man. He hath prevailed to open the book and to loose the seals thereof. Now, let's get, I know that I said that the scripture say, quench not the spirit. So, make sure this meal is good. Let's get one last, Lord willing, let's get the scripture. See who that's talking about, according to the scriptures. It says, Hebrews 7:14, for it is evident that our Lord sprang out of Judah. What does it mean, sprang? He came out of, he was brought forth, as a seed, right? He was birthed from a Judite man, So it is evident that our Lord, who is the Lord, who people call Jesus Christ, whose name is Yahweh Shai in the Hebrew. That's his actual name because he's a Hebrew. Yahweh Shai. Yahweh Shai. It says, sprang out of Judah, of which tribe Moses spake nothing concerning priesthood, because he went on to be, something more than just a Judite. He's the Lord. Now, what is it talking about? He's prevailed to open the book and loose the seven seals. Really quick. And we're going to end with this. Isaiah 28. Salaki 29 and 11. 10, we'll start at. It says, for the Lord hath poured, start at 9. Stay yourselves and wonder. So wonder is to think, what is going on? Cry ye out and cry. Don't it say Judah mourned? They are drunken, but not with wine. They stagger, but not with strong drink. You're off a spiritual drink, a philosophy which was given to you to have you spiritually drunk and inebriated, and intoxicated, to where some of you have fell out. Some of those of your nation have fell out, and they will not awaken to this. They're not going to be around to hear this, and that's lies that has been fed to you, bad stewardship, false prophets, etc. For the Lord, for Yahweh hath poured upon you the spirit of deep sleep. So you sleep to what's going on and who you are, right? When the book and everything, all your answers is right there. Some of you own the Bible, but you weren't able to open it and read it. You weren't even able to look thereon, as the scriptures say. Actually open it and look in it, let alone read it. And hath closed your eyes. The prophets and your rulers, the seers, hath he covered. So those given, some of those of your nation will be given this truth from men that, he's taken that deep spirit of deep sleep off, and they will not be able to see that. But if you can see this, you're not one of them. Now it says, and the vision of all is become, so what is the vision of all? Let's keep going. It's become unto you as the words of a book. What book? This Bible. So this Bible is the vision of all. It speaks to everything that is sealed. And the vision of all, Isaiah 29 and 11, and the vision of all is become unto you as the words of a book that is sealed. So it wasn't able to be opened up. Let's keep going. It tells you that which men delivered to one that is learned, saying, read this, I pray thee. And he said, I cannot, for it is sealed. For it is sealed. And the book is delivered to him that is not learned. So you didn't go to the college to understand this, right? Saying, read this, I pray thee. And he said, he said, I am not learned, right? So ultimately he has given this understanding back, and it's not gotten through you going to being a learned man. You going to a seminary school, a college school, you know, Bible college. That's not how you receive this. Your Lord, who sprang out of Judah, right? Just like you so-called blacks, who are actually black people, so-called Jews. Judah it gives you the name. Is where you get your name. Is where you get the name Jew, and it says that those of Judah, of the house of Judah, all of those people are so-called black people. Qadar. They were slaves. They was told they were gonna go into slavery by slave ships and be Iba and Shapka, bond women and bond men and bond women, slaves, servants, right? Slave girls, So there you go, man. So that was said about the so-called Jews, and guess what? The Lord, he's a so-called Jew, right? So we're gonna stop right there. I pray this has been edifying. I'm gonna get one more thing just to tie this home. The Wikipedia. The English term Jew originates in the biblical Hebrew from, it says Yehudi, but it didn't even say that in the Hebrew we looked up, was actually Yehowadah, but meaning kingdom of Judah. So Jew comes from Judah. See that? Haaretz. This is actually ran by the so-called fake Jews today. People are pretending to be you, which is a different meal. But why are Jews called Jews? Haaretz.com. The word Jew originates with the ancient Israelite kingdom of Judah. See that? So by 2 or 3 witnesses, you establish every matter. Here's another one. Chabad.org. What is the meaning of the name Jew? The term Jew is derived, so that's a fact. The term Jew is derived, meaning it comes from the name of Jacob's 4th son, Judah. See that? So God says the so-called, and the Bible tell you that Judah is black. So now that you know Jew comes from the word Judah, right? Now that you know the word Jew comes from the word Judah, there you have your title, right? The subject of your meal. God says blacks are the real Jews, right? There you go. The English Jew word. The English term Jew originates from the biblical Hebrew word, which it says Yehuda, which is Yehudi, which is actually supposed to be Yehowadah, meaning from the kingdom of Judah. See that? Let's go back. So that's one. This is Haaretz.com. So there be no. This is Haaretz.com. So there will be no speculation to be said, to be had in this meal. Why are Jews called Jews? The word Jew originates with the ancient Israelite kingdom of Judah. See that? That's the point. The name comes from Judah. Let's get this one. 3 strikes you out, right? So let's get this one. 3 strikes you're out, you're out, right? It's gonna be out for you saying that you're so-called black people anymore, all right? If you're a so-called black person and you know your people came over here on slave ships, you will be of the house of Judah, right? And we're in the so-called Americas right now. We're in America. And it's Jews scattered across the four corners of the earth, but most of you came, most of the house of Judah came to America, North America. You know, but you're everywhere. You know, you're in West Africa still. You're in Europe. You're in Australia. You're in South America, right? And you so-called West Indian people, meaning you islander, so-called blacks, like Jamaicans, Haitians, you will also be a Jew, right? But we're dealing with the house of Judah, the tribe of Judah specifically, as said. So the term Jew is derived from the name of Jacob's fourth son, Judah. So someone saying that they're a Jew, they're saying they come from the house of Judah. But said that Judah, right, was going to go into into slavery back. The Lord told, you know, and the rest of those that came from Judah, the house of Judah, that they were going to go into slavery by slave ships. And Judah is the top tribe, which is why we started with Judah. Okay? Yeah, that's pretty much it, man. So we're going to stop that right there. So God says blacks are real Jews, man. Also, the Lord, so-called Jesus Christ, his name is Yahushai, HaMashiach, all right? Yahushua the Messiah, all right? He also comes from the house of the race of David, the house of Judah, all right? He's a Jew, okay? So he today will be a so-called black man. So God says blacks are the real Jews. Lord willing, this was edifying. All praises and honor and glory be to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Harakah Akwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, of Yasha Allah. Peace and blessings to you that are of the faithful elect. And Shalom Rabbarakim Ha'aman Bakiyar, Yasha Allah.